Joe Johnson, the 1986 world champion, alongside me, Philip Stubb, for this one. And Joe, we haven't seen a great deal of young Lin Shuai, but by all accounts, a very talented player.
Yes, and he's up against the world number 2, Mark Selby. It's going to be a tough one for him, but he's already made a 1.34, I think, in practice, so in competition, and a 1.38 in practice, so he can play.
He's also registered wins over the likes of Jimmy White and Mark King. Those victories came in last season's Asian PTCs. So, clearly a very talented player.
Not on that occasion. Caught the blue in his attempted safety shot back to balk.
Lin earned this meeting with Selby courtesy of a final frame decider victory over Andrew Higginson, a former ranking event runner-up. So that will have given him a lot of confidence.
Yes, he's just skimmed past the reds, and he may have left the red on to the left corner. Well, not the easy of the reds, but this is still a chance. So first blood goes to Mark Selby. Just overdone that slightly. And if he takes his red on, he's going to be splitting the reds. And that's finished up very nicely. Pink to the middle with the red to the right corner.
It's been a modest start to the new season for Selby. He did reach the semi-finals of the Australian Open. Was runner-up to Mark Williams in the Euro Tour 2 event. But he failed to qualify for the first major ranking event of the season, the Wuxi Classic, beaten in the first round. A flat draw of 128 now, of course, regardless of your ranking in the vast majority of the big events.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Look at the reds, he split them perfectly. When he saw that red drift into the middle pocket.
Well, no way he could have legislated for that, Joe. Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. And he's given his opponent a good chance here. Just left himself slightly hampered. Now he can get through the two reds.
9.
If he can take big colours with these reds. these loose reds round the black. You won't need the safe ones.
17. Twenty-four. 25.
Well, nothing he could do about knocking the red in the middle. It was a very attacking shot he played.
32. 33.
Just finished a little straight on the pink. Another half an inch and he had a nice angle to come back down for the reds.
Thirty-nine. 40.
Oh, and that was a good kiss. Full ball kiss on the red. Didn't play that, but he'll take it. Great chance to win this frame now. .41 points in front.
46.
So these two reds, these two loose reds, should be enough.
47.
'Well, Selby was very unfortunate to break down as he did, potting a red as well as the black when he was well set, but great credit to Lin here. It's all about taking your opportunities against the best players, and that's precisely what he's doing here. 50 points the difference, 51 remaining, so the pink will suffice.
Yes, and he could have just done with drawing that cue ball back another inch or two. And it made the difference. Well, fortunately, he didn't hit the reds as he intended. He tried to split the reds. Should have made sure of the pink. Or was that a slight kick? Yep, that's a good safety. May have got the snooker. Well, doesn't really want to disturb these two reds, and they are the easiest to hit, but he may be as well playing to hit the other red out in the open. Leave those two tied up. Oh, and he's played it at pace. This could go wrong. He's been a little fortunate there. Hasn't left anything on. Not in a way to get back to the black anyway. He needs 3 reds, 3 blacks, all the colours, to win by 1. Didn't really get hold of the cue ball, tried to draw it in behind the black. No prizes for guessing who they're supporting. And again, he likes to have a go, this young man. And he could pay the price here. Very risky plant. Only needed the red though.
1,
So 3 reds, 3 blacks required. Doesn't need to get them all in this visit. If he takes the pink, he can only tie. But he could take the pink, drop him behind the red, play a good snooker. All depends how he's thinking.
9,
Now, as long as he gets in behind the red here, he could lay a really good snooker. Needs to get this cue ball tight in behind the green or the yellow. And that's tight.
15,
That's a tough snooker to hit.
Selby right back in the frame then. 35 adrift, 35 remaining, but Lin facing a very awkward situation now.
Mark Selby 4,
Well, now you can win with anything, more or less. Well, I think he got a little kick there, you know. Whichever way you look at it, he's left the red on.
Sounded like a heavy contact.
1,
Well, I'm sure Lin will be a relieved man because having failed to kill off the frame, there was a danger that he might end up losing it.
Well, still,
Lin Shuai 1,
he's a little bit impetuous, this young man.
Well, Selby needs a snooker. He's 32 behind. In fact, he needs a couple of 4-point snookers with the disappearance of that final red. Slightly casual from Lin, though. Should have potted the blue.
Absolutely. Well, that should make sure, absolutely sure.
Another big crowd in today at the Shanghai Grand Stage. Excellent crowds for each day of this Shanghai Masters.
5,
And a promising start for Lin. Not as clinical as he would have liked after Mark Selby was unlucky in potting the red as well as the black when he was well set to win the frame himself. But he's got over the line. That'll settle the nerves. It's a race to 5, of course.
9, and for Lin Shuai.
Well, the blue remains on the table, but Mark Selby remains seated. So the first frame goes the way of the underdog, the young Chinese, who has taken the opening frame. So Lin Shuai, 1-0 to the good, 5 the target for a place in the round of 16 and a meeting with either Rob Milkins or Mark Joyce. Frame 2 is next. A 50-plus break, good enough in the end for Lin Shuai of China, just 19 years of age, to take the first frame against the world number 2 from Leicester in England, Mark Selby.
Could have done with a little bit more pace in that cue ball, but managed to clear the black.
I mentioned that the winner of this match plays either Mark Joyce or Rob Milkins. They're underway in their match, with Joyce having taken the opening frame. And Mark Allen, the reigning World Open champion, is playing Ryan Day on one of the outside tables. Still the first frame in progress there. Allen with a 42-point lead.
Well, not a bad kiss on the blue. Just catching it thin enough to put the young man in trouble. It was a good attempt, and he managed to miss the two reds just by the black spot. And that's a better safety from Lin Shuai. Cut off the right side of the reds and full of danger down the left side. So coming off the side cushion, just landing up into them. Mustn't go past them.
Foul and miss. Lin Shuai, 4.
And if you're going to miss them, you've got to miss them on the other side. A little harder, and he'd left an easy starter for Lin Shuai. And he gets another chance. Must hit them this time, otherwise he'll be warned. And that's better. And again, that was a good safety shot from Lin Shuai. He could have come off the red thin and landed up behind the green, but if he'd have missed the snooker, it would have left an easy safety shot. It was a little unfortunate pushing this red over the middle. Now, where's it going to finish?
1.
Ding Junhui looks poised to take the opening frame against Dave Gilbert on table 1. Bit of a disturbance in the crowd, so Selby takes his time to refocus.
Just didn't get enough screw on the cue ball. He's finished 2 straight on the blue.
Thirteen. 14.
If he's got the angle, the red just below the black, could be the one to play for. Oh, he's a little strong. He's a little strong, and unless that's a plant. Not quite. If it was right behind it, he might be able to make it.
Mark Selby, 19.
First meeting between this pair.
Well, the safety shot that he chose to play paid off. Although on his last shot he did manage to tie the black up into one corner.
1.
The red just to the left of the black spot. If he can get on that one, that would open things up. Again, it's just a little heavy.
3.
Wanted to be straight on the red to hold for the black. He might still be able to, but it's a little bit more difficult.
4.
Now, he could play this in 2 ways. He could play the cannon to the 2 reds, and he'd still be on the red below the black. Oh, he's missed them. That was a big target.
11.
Not quite happening for Selby in the early stages then. But a 26-point lead in the early part of this second frame.
Well, big target here, the green and brown. Just a little slow. And again, he's left that red on to the right corner. When I say left, there was a big difference there. There was a lot of gap between the balls, but it's one that you expect Mark Selby to knock in, but still a tough shot.
Just that one by a big margin.
Yeah, to make matters worse, he's left it. So another chance. Third time he's been in this frame.
1.
Selby, one of those players, Joe, who appears at least to put his heart and soul into every shot he plays. It must be mentally exhausting.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, that he does put so much into it. And again now, look, he's way out with position.
8.
He's left himself a real nasty one here.
I don't think he was happy with the contact. He's asked referee Zhu Ying to polish the cue ball.
Yeah, well, if he did get a kick, took the pace out of the cue ball and left this nasty one. That's a good recovery.
9.
Excellent shot. So needs to disturb something, unless there's a plant on there somewhere. And as you said earlier, Phil, it's just not happening at the moment for Mark Selby. Again, you would have expected him to hit that target big enough.
Mark Selby, 11.
Good safety is a handy consolation for Selby. 37-point lead. Mark Allen duly took the opening frame against Ryan Day, so Allen 1-0 in front. Ding Junhui 1-0 up on Dave Gilbert, and Mark Joyce enjoys that advantage over Rob Milkins.
So the safety, not quite good enough, but he was tight under the cushion. Well, again, you do expect Mark Selby to pot those, but played it in such a way that it would have been on the green, and it's reasonably safe if he didn't pot it.
Packed to the rafters today, the Shanghai Grand Stage with 2 Chinese stars in action. Young Lin, of course, and Ding Junhui. And what a pot that was.
Yes, forced into taking that on. And I bet he wishes he'd have played for the black now. He played that cue ball to the cushion just in case he missed it. It's still possible, the black, but it's a thin one. The off in the middle is a possibility. Green also a possibility. Could roll up behind the black. He's got a few possibilities that he could play. It's going for the pot. He's got it. That was a good pot from the young man. And he's nicely on the red. And look at the reds now.
Especially given the fact that he knew that had it stayed out, he was leaving Selby in. But that's careless.
Lin Shuai,
Well, after the Lord Mayor Shuai. Well, again, did he get a kick? Because look where the cue ball is. Well short of pace for the black.
one.
30 points in front.
Yeah, that misread is going to prove costly, you would think, for Lin. Chance here for Selby to wrap up this second frame.
Yeah, and if he comes anywhere down the left side of the table, he's got choice of reds. Nice angle on the yellow. Play that shot.
Three. Four. 11.
Yeah, just potted that one a little too thin.
18.
Played for the Reds into the right corner.
That looked like another kick.
It looks like they've had a few in this game already.
51 left then. 48 the lead. This for the frame. No doubt about it now then. Selby is going to level the score.
27.
It's been a patchy opening to this match. Neither player has really found any great fluency. Selby admittedly unlucky in the first frame, which he might well have won had it not been for that unlucky red disappearing along with the black, as we see a replay of the key shot in this frame. Lin having potted a wonderful black to set up the chance for perhaps a frame stealing break, then missed a relatively easy
35.
red into left centre, and that always looked likely to cost him the frame. So it's proved it's going to be one apiece.
Yes, just looking at that replay though, it did look like he got a kick. The red straightened up. So a little unfortunate Lin there, as Mark Selby was in the first frame.
43.
Yes, 1-1 feels about right, doesn't it, from what we've seen so far. And there have been a number of surprise results today, with Stuart Bingham going down 5-1 to Kyron Wilson. Stephen Maguire ousted 5-2 by Zhao Gudong. Selby will be very keen to avoid a similar fate, particularly given his failure to qualify for the Wuxi Classic, the first big Asian event of the season.
53.
Wants an extended run here, and perhaps even the prospect of replicating his success of 2011 when he went on to win the trophy.
53 in the frame.
So Mark Selby does more than enough then, after Lin missed that red, to clinch the frame, to level the match. It's one apiece, and we'll have the third frame after this short break. And 19-year-old Lin will break in the third frame.
Well, it was a good break-off by Lin Shuai. But there's a possibility of a double on here. He'd be on the black, and he wouldn't believe in anything except the red he was playing on. Well, it was nowhere near that.
Perhaps the Paul career is on hold for the moment. I remember Stephen Hendry, for all his brilliance, saying that he was hopeless at doubles.
Well, chance to open the reds up here. Bring Bring that cue ball back dead on the cushion behind the black. He could play the cue ball up into the baulk area, and if he could get it somewhere round about, well, in between the yellow and the brown, dead on the cushion or close to it, would have liked to have seen the cue ball closer to the cushion. This is worth taking on, this red. Wait for it. It was closer to that pocket.
One.
Now, nice little rub on the red there. Leaves him a nice angle to open these reds. Check for any plants. Beautiful. Anybody hurt?
6.
They've split nicely. And he has a red to the right corner. Just depends if he can get to a colour from it. Delicate cannon needed, maybe. Delicate cannon got. Held nicely for the black. And what a chance now. Nothing he can do but just sit there and hope.
Rob Milkins is now level with Mark Joyce at 1 frame all. Winner of that match to play the winner of this one.
22. 23. 30. 31.
'Crowd gripped by the action. You sense that Mark Selby is beginning to find his stroke.
39.
Oh dear. Well, there was nothing surer as soon as Phil said that he was going to miss one.
Well, he seemed to snatch at it, didn't he? It was a routine black.
Let's have another look at this. Did he get a kick? Because he missed it by some distance. I can't believe that he did miss it by that distance. It had to be a kick, that, surely.
Well, that was unforeseen.
1.
Yes, not an easy table this though. 4 red safe. And this pink not a gimme. was a poor positional shot he played there, Lin. Although if this does go in, it's handy to have that pink back on its spot. Well, straight back at the table, Mark Selby, and that's just what the doctor ordered. Forget all about that black now.
One.
Lin was missing that pink by quite a distance. Wasn't easy. It could well have cost him this third frame.
Seven. Eight. Eleven.
This last loose red should be enough to win in the frame.
Red and pink will suffice.
18.
The crowd know that was the key ball.
24.
Yes, I'd like to see this one disappear as well, though, just to make sure.
Mark Selby.
Oohs and ahs as the red stays on the table, and that will encourage Lin to battle on. Just the one snooker required. It's not vintage Selby.
1.
Yes, I expected him to pot that red. It was touching the cushion. Maybe took it a little too easy. Oh dear.
Lin Shuai.
It won't matter now though, because Lin misses the black off its spot and concedes immediately. So Mark Selby has done enough to get what was another scrappy third frame on the board. He edges 2-1 in front from 1-0 behind. He needs 3 more for a place in the round of 16, and frame 4 is coming up next. Mark Selby has broken off at the start of frame 4 on this, the third day of the Shanghai Masters Snooker. Selby, the man they call the Jester from Leicester, now 30 years of age, has been a pro since 1999, has taken a 2-1 lead. It's been a somewhat scrappy match so far. A lot of errors from both players. 1 or 2 kicks haven't helped their cause. But a vital frame coming up here for Lin.
And again, the safety not really good enough. This long red to the corner, well within Selby's capabilities. This time he doesn't miss. Judges the speed perfectly.
Beautifully struck, and excellent position as well. Winner of this, remember to play either Mark Joyce or Rob Milkins. They're level at 1 apiece. The Ding Junhui Dave Gilbert game is proving to be a bit of a struggle, with Ding leading 1-0. They're only into their second frame in that match, just a point between them in frame 2, with Gilbert at the table on a break of 43. We'll be enjoying some of that match here a little later.
And again, hasn't quite played that cue ball hard enough. Straight on the blue.
Another scrappy battle in progress between Mark Allen from
Draw.
Antrim, Northern Ireland, and Ryan Day. 1-0 Allen leading. Day 1 point
Setting.
ahead in the second frame. That sounded like another slightly dull contact between cue and object ball.
Yeah, and he hasn't quite got as far back as he would have liked. He has got a little angle, but he'd like to have been playing on the red just by the black.
18. Now
He's had a look at this black to see if it respots and what would happen if it doesn't. 2 reds he can play for. Well, the red just to the left of the black spot there, so I don't think the referee can stop it going into the left corner.
Steady hand required.
Mustn't touch, and that's touching.
Yes, the nap of the cloth just dragging the black onto the red there, so
It does make a difference, because if it's touching, the red won't go.
26.
If it's not touching, then it will.
27. Thirty-four.
Mark Selby has threatened to move up a couple of gears on a couple of occasions in this match, only to make a mistake. Can he find a way to make a big break this time?
Well, this is awkward. Not just for the pot, but for the cannon, which hasn't gone as well as he wanted. The long red to the baulk corner looks favourite. He has got the red to the left middle, but cue ball's going into the cluster and he won't quite know what's going to happen if he finishes on a colour or not. Well, another possibility is that he could play the double. No attempt at the double, just played that cue ball. Dead on the cushion behind the black.
This is the final frame, of course, before the mid-session break.
If it comes down to a safety battle between these two players, you know my money's on. Got the cue ball where he wanted. Would have been on the blue had the red gone in. That's another good shot
1.
from the young man. Just coming around to see if this red goes to the right corner. If it does, no problem. If it doesn't, then may have to go into them.
50 plus break in the opening frame from Lin. Since then, no more than bits and pieces. So he could do with stringing a few balls together here and rediscover a bit of rhythm.
8.
Well, because this red does go to the right corner, that opens up things. 2 reds will go to the left corner when he takes this one on.
9.
Could have done with coming just a little bit further. Cue ball going into the red behind the black now. And got to be careful not to get the cover. Nicely done.
16.
Real marathon frame in progress next door between Ding and Dave Gilbert. Ding currently 12 points to the good, 60 points to 48. He leads. Make that 60 points to 52. There are still 35 left with the red on the table.
17.
Just the second frame there. Ding 1-0 up then. This by far the paciest of the 4 matches in progress as we speak. Rob Milkins and Mark Joyce locked at 1-1. Mark Allen only into the second frame of his match with Ryan Day, who looks set to level at 1 apiece.
25.
Yes, he would have liked to have played for that red just below the black. Oh, he's made a mess of that one.
32.
And the reason why I say that is for that simple reason he's just done now. It was a tricky little shot, the one that he played. Little stun for the reds, because if he puts too much stun on it, it'd have cannoned into that red. So it's end of break, and that was a really good chance.
Yes, 32, you sense not really enough from that opportunity for Lin. He has closed the gap to just 10 points, however. Lin a little frustrated then that he can only make 32 from that chance. Selby 10 points to the good as he looks to move 3-1 in front at the interval. Cameras trained on the former world number 1, currently 2 in the ranks.
Yes, good shot. And the reds are there for the taking. That was a super cutback into a blind pocket. Just check to see if the red behind the pink will go. Looks like it will from here. Oh, but he's missed the brown.
Mark Selby 1.
Well, yet again, the contact didn't sound as perfect as it might be. But Selby's missed one or two very surprising balls today. And he missed that one by quite a distance.
Yes, and he missed it thin, and if he had have got a kick, he'd have missed it thick. Both players know that this is a big frame. That adds to the pressure. Oh, always on, but
1.
he's raised his hand. He didn't play that.
Six. 7. 12.
Well, he needs both remaining reds.
Just a little pacey there in his position for this red.
Thirteen.
Well, just in no man's land. Okay, he can pot the blue to the corner, but it's not easy. A little tickle in behind the blue, maybe.
Yellow ball.
Well, pushing a colour safe.
Mark Selby 13.
And that's a better choice of shot for me. Just giving himself some insurance in case his opponent gets back to the table in a scoring visit.
Foul and miss. Mark Selby 4.
So same kind of shot, trying to catch the red thin. Well, trying to pot it then.
1.
Well, as flukes go, that one's right out of the top drawer.
Yeah, he needs a colour though. 27 points the difference.
Well, he can tie it if he fails to pot a colour here.
Blue ball. Lin Shuai 1.
Didn't really do one thing or the other with that shot. Selby then just requiring one of the remaining 6 colours to leave Lin requiring a snooker in this 4th frame. Absolute marathon of a second frame between Ding Junhui and Dave Gilbert has gone the way of Gilbert, so one apiece in that match as we come towards the end of the fourth frame in this one. And remember, Gilbert has won all three of his previous encounters with the great Chinese. Something of a bogey player for Ding. Would appear that there's a long way to travel in that match.
Well, full ball snooker there from Mark Selby. Not difficult to hit. He's thinking of coming in behind the yellow and sending the yellow up the table, but doesn't look to be enough room. He'll settle for that. Gotta be careful of the double kiss here. Another pretty good safety shot from Mark Selby. This isn't easy. Well, that's how hard the safety shot was. He took the pot on. Tremendous pot.
Zhu Ying watches on.
Lin Shuai 2.
Mark Selby then, 25 points to the good, 25 remaining in frame 4.
Well, that good safety shot has produced the error. Oh, but he hasn't played that well.
Caught it much too thick, didn't he?
I think the pace was all wrong as well. He's still got a shot at this brown into the middle, but difficult to get to the blue now. He's got to play this at pace. Well, never attempted to get onto the blue.
Well, that was a great opportunity for Lin to force the respotted black. One reasonable safety, or rather positional shot on brown to blue would have done the trick.
That'll do nicely.
Snooker's required then for Lin.
Mark Selby 4.
26 points the difference, only 18 left, so 2 snookers required. Tall order in the extreme for the Chinese. Even taller now. Well, let's be honest, this has been a patchy and frankly forgettable mini session of snooker. Selby has been well below his best. Lin briefly flickered in the first frame with a half century that ended up winning the frame for him, but since then way too many errors. And the favourite to progress, living up to that billing as he seals the fourth frame. So it's Mark Selby who enjoys a 3-1 lead as we go into our mid-session interval. He'll look to up his game on the resumption to get the job done. Food for thought, though, for 19-year-old Lin Shuai from Henan Province. He's got a lot of work to do.
Yes, Lin Shuai needs to find more of that first frame where he played exceptionally well. Just caught up in the safety play with Mark Selby.
Foul and miss. Lin Shuai 4.
Well, a little less lucky for Selby there that he ended up leaving the cue ball so tight to the side rail.
Well, that was a good pot, and he's on the pink. Well, maybe on the black now. It's bounced off the cushion, just needs to drop it in. He'd be on the red to the right to the pink. That was a good ready potted there.
No breaks of note from the Chinese since that initial run of 50 off the unlucky moment for Selby when he was in amongst the reds, potted the black and saw a red drop in as well. Needs to rediscover that early touch in and amongst the balls. Had chances to pinch the previous frame on the colours. Made a bit of a mess of his positional shot from brown to blue.
Yeah, and the previous one from green to brown, wasn't it? Caught it a little bit thick. And he's gone into the pack of reds there, and he's been a little unfortunate not to finish on something easier
16.
than he has done. Wanted to miss that red directly above the black.
Ryan Day has taken a 2-1 lead over Mark Allen in another match which has taken quite some time to this point.
Lin Shuai 16.
Whoever comes through that one will face Barry Hawkins, who whitewashed David Grace 5-0 yesterday.
Well, from where it was, that was a pretty good safety shot. Dead under the cushion to get the cue ball back there. Pretty good shot. And that wasn't bad either. A little unfortunate, the kiss on the green. It's made the green and brown a big target now. Caught it too thick, and he's left a half chance. Lin Shuai. Well, he's going to have to get it because that cue ball looks to be going into the reds. A little fortunate.
Not a spare seat to be had in the Shanghai Grand Stage Arena. Spectators young and old.
And a little bit of trouble here for Lin Shuai. Got to be careful not to leave that red on. Well, he managed to move it and get that cue ball back to the cushion. That's a very good shot. Excellent safety. No round of applause there, but that was a cracker. Forced the containing safety shot from Mark Selby. So at the moment, the advantage goes to Lin Shuai.
Has to win this frame, really, if he's going to maintain any realistic hopes of victory.
Oh, that's a careless safety. Just seemed to get down and play it. And although he hasn't left anything on, he's left an easy safety. Again, he's won the safety battle there, Lin Shuai. He's got a red over the corner. It's going to be difficult to avoid the pack of reds. But he's managed to do it. Just a little heavy. No choice to put the cue ball in behind the green or the brown.
Lin Shuai 1.
Oohs and ahs aplenty coming from the neighbouring table where Ding and Dave Gilbert continue to battle away. Third frame underway there. Still got the rest of that one and another one before the mid-session break.
Well, that was a tough shot. But it was a chance. Must-win frame for Lin Shuai, this one. Good pot.
1.
Just overrun with the position. Leading off to the right corners on.
Mark Selby 6.
Good speed on the cue ball. Makes this red to the right corner extra difficult. So he gets another chance, a good chance. Lin Shuai.
His safety has been outstanding in this frame. He's earned this opportunity.
He's left that short enough to be a good shot. It's easy enough to come out of ball, come down that left side of the table. That one loose red to the right corner. A little straight on the blue, but may be able to take the pink. Depends if any reds go. Well, he's forced one out there. Just about get to the potting angle, yep. And now this is a good chance. 29 points in front. And enough loose reds.
$21.
Again, a little short with his position. And the red just behind the pink. Will go to the right corner. Got to avoid the yellow if he plays that shot. The yellow looks to be just in the way of playing that shot for the red just behind the pink. This is going to be okay. He's on this red to the right corner. Not sure if he played for that one, but when he does take it, that releases the other two to the same corner.
Hubbub from the neighbouring table will tell you that Ding Junhui has now edged back in front of Dave Gilbert by 2 frames to 1. The third frame somewhat quicker than frames 2 and 1.
Meanwhile, Lin Shuai just made a mess of that positional shot. This is a tough pink, lots of pressure. But he's managed to pot it. Well, he's fighting well here, Lin Shuai. What an important pot that pink was. Could very well have been 4-1 had he missed that one.
Thirty-four.
So this red and
14.
another pink should be enough.
41.
Well, he just went in.
Rattled that one in the jaws. Perhaps a little edgy with the delivery of the cue. But in it went. 56 the difference. The blue will be enough to leave Mark Selby requiring a snooker. But he's playing position.
Well,
That was extraordinary.
I can't believe he's played that.
Blue was frame ball. He would have been 60 in front. 61 in front. Well, surely a miscalculation there from young Lin, because he only required the simplest of blues to leave Selby needing a snooker. Instead he went for position off a much trickier green, missed the green. And how costly as Selby sinks that long red, well, that error of judgment proved to be.
Yeah, he's going to need blacks though. 49 points the difference. Missed the black.
Can now only tie. Beg your pardon, 48. No, there are still enough for him.
Yes, he can win by one with blacks.
14.
That's going to be a tall order, but the truth is, Joe, he shouldn't have had a chance, should he?
Absolutely not. Should have rolled that blue in or just screwed it in, played the long thin red. But whatever, make the frame safe. And now a lot of nervous energy for Lin Shuai.
Mark Selby, 40.
Ryan Day has taken a 3-1 interval lead over Mark Allen. Day looked good in his first round match, the wildcard round against Lu Ning. He won 5-1 and scored pretty heavily. It's been a scrappier affair today, but that's a useful lead for Day at the mid-session interval.
Very nearly got the cannon to the black, but now a chance to put this game to bed for Lin Shuai and forget about that blue that he refused.
1.
Yes, that should be enough. It could have been a costly error of judgment, but it doesn't look like being so now. And Lin is set to close to within a single frame. It remains a rather scrappy match, rather bitty affair. Neither player really convincing.
Lin Shuai 7.
But having refused the frame ball blue to take on the trickier green for position, and having missed it, I'm sure Lin will be a relieved man to see Mark Selby remain in his chair at the end of that 5th frame. So it's Selby 3, Lin 2, and we'll have the 6th frame right after the break. Mark Selby's lead cut to 3-2 then by the 19-year-old from Henan province, Lin Shuai. Selby requiring 2 more frames to book his place in the 2nd round proper, and a meeting with either Rob Milkins or Mark Joyce, who remain tied at 2 frames all. Ryan Day, 3-1 to the good against Mark Allen, the winner of that to play Barry Hawkins. And Ding Junhui involved in a real fight with Dave Gilbert, whom he's never beaten in 3 previous attempts. 2-1 to the good Ding, and 10 points in front in frame 4. And there's a cracking opening red from Lin, who perhaps now is beginning to get a taste for this battle.
Yes, it wasn't a good break-off shot from Mark Selby. He'll be the first to admit that that cue ball wasn't close enough to the baulk cushion. And he could have just got his confidence, this young man. If he can get the right side of the blue here, open that pack of reds.
Showed he has a good temperament in edging out Andrew Higginson in the wildcard round in a final frame decider. I mentioned earlier that he's enjoyed victories in the past against the likes of Jimmy White and Mark King,
7.
who's already through to the 2nd round in a meeting with Neil Robertson. So he is capable of springing a surprise.
8.
And Selby is certainly not on top of his game today, so there remains a big opportunity here for Lin.
Yes, he didn't get far enough past the blue there, though. Would have liked to have gone into that pack of reds directly instead of using a cushion.
13.
Ultra thin cut to the corner to keep the break going. No,
Lin
no
Shuai
attempt.
13.
And I've been impressed with his safety play today. He's got that cue ball in good spots, good positions, keep Mark Selby safe and keep the pressure on him. Doesn't matter how good you are, when that cue ball's tight to the cushion, it's very difficult. And if you can't see them, even more difficult.
Tough red this. Very straight. Just the safety.
Yes, it was a risky one to take on. And that is a good safety. Cutting off the right side of the reds as well as the left. He can see a red, but I'm not sure if he can play the safety. Well, he thinks he can. He thinks he can swing this cue ball by. Well,
Mark Selby.
not sure if he could, but he'll be happy with the result. It could have wobbled and stayed down this end of the table, and it Could have been in trouble then. Yeah, he's brought a red up. This red will pot. Well, no
Where it
idea
stops,
where
nobody knows.
no idea where it was going to go, but he'll be happy with that. I'm pretty sure he thought he was going to be going into the pack there, but caught the red too thin.
Six. Seven. Thirteen. Fourteen.
Yeah, just seems to have got a little bounce in his step now, Lin Shuai.
19.
Just come a little farther. Still potable. But the positional side of the shot wasn't.
Track, 19.
A little careless there. He should have had better position on this red. Fortunately, he hasn't done much damage.
Let's just pop in next door where this battle of attrition has suddenly begun to warm up with Ding Junhui cracking in a century break in the fourth frame. So Ding has found a new gear. And he's on course for a clearance of 129 here if the black disappears. In it goes. So vintage Ding Junhui, that will delight his army of fans. And at last some fluency from the Chinese. It's been a very scrappy battle to that point, but that's a marvellous century from Ding, and he's 3-1 up at their mid-session interval.
Look at the pace on the cue ball again there from Lin Shuai.
You'd have to say it's the strength of his game. Hasn't really scored heavily enough today, and one or two rather careless shots and miscalculations. We mentioned how he turned down an elementary blue in the previous frame for a much trickier green when he only needed the blue to put the frame safe, and it might have proved costly. In the event it didn't, he took that frame to close the gap to 3-2.
Well, he has this red over the left corner, but it's not easy. He can't work the cue ball. I think the black will go to the right corner, but getting on it is another thing. He could only drop this in, and it wasn't easy. Fortunately, he hasn't left it.
28 points. Lin's advantage then in the frame he needs to level this match. Well, does Selby think he can cut it? No. Played that pretty well, in fact.
And this looks pretty good. Again, his safety play. He's earning him openings in this frame. Well, he played the two-cushion escape there, and he'd no need to do. He's been very fortunate not to have left anything on. Caught the red much too thick. May have played to hit the other two closest to the left corner, but he could have just landed up to those two. Well, that bump on the middle pocket. A half chance for young Lin. Bit risky to play for the blue, but play the pullback for the portcolours. Good pot. Could have done with a little bit more screw on the cue ball. And the next red's going to be difficult.
The last 16 lineup will be completed this afternoon. And I can tell you our feature match tomorrow morning on the 4th day of the Shanghai Masters here on Eurosport 1 will feature the defending champion John Higgins, who takes on the evergreen Mark Davis for a place in the quarterfinals.
Doesn't want the green in.
Lin Shuai, 1.
And that's a much better shot than playing the yellow. There was no red for the yellow. And an equally good escape.
Crowd appreciated the skill of Selby there. A long way to travel in this frame. The red's far from ideally placed. Black tied up for the time being.
Well, again, that was a very positive shot to take on. And it would have gone in most times.
Chance then for Selby to eat into that 29-point advantage enjoyed by Lin.
How's the angle on the blue to disturb something? If he wants to, he doesn't need to. He can play for that loose red. Horrible little cut back this into the right corner. Yes, and it was always going to be over the pocket if he missed it.
One.
Rather landed in the middle of nowhere there. Gettable, but not a simple pot this, under pressure.
Yes, I could have been favouring the green there, just rolling it in, block the pocket. If you miss, you're on the red. If it goes in, a little bit more difficult shot, but more safety with it.
Mark Joyce has just edged 2-1 in front of Rob Milkins. Winner of that match, of course, will face whoever comes through this one.
One.
Just about managed to pull up. But again, the next red, not easy. Pink looks to be in the way of going directly at them from one cushion. Good attempt,
Three.
but just the safety. Could try and drop him behind the pink.
Mark Selby, three.
A little harder would have been nice.
21 points, Lin's lead.
Doesn't get any better than that. Just caught the red thin enough. And this is a little bit of trouble. Easy enough to hit a red, but to cover the other ones, not quite as simple. Does it go, this red? Maybe the reason there was no applause is because the red does go to the left corner. Well, again, that's a surprising miss, unless the red only went off that far jaw.
One.
The black's the ball to take if you want to win the frame at this visit, but it's not easy. Good pot, and he is on a red to the right corner.
8.
Again, very difficult.
Lin Shuai 8.
Well, rhythm has been something that has proved elusive for both players in this match so far. All of the frames have been rather scrappy affairs. Stop-start sort of snooker. We've seen some very good safety. And Selby unlucky there. It was a good
Lin Shuai 4.
cut on the red with the rest.
Yes, it was a good cut, but he didn't know where that cue ball was going. Very unfortunate to find the pocket. It's just not going for him at the moment.
A very big frame, of course. If Selby were to move 4-2 in front, he'd be hard pushed to think that Lin could turn that around. But 3-all.
Well, I can't believe he's putting him back in here. Selby should be able to play a very good safety. Get that cue ball dead on the cushion behind the yellow, and his opponent's in trouble. Could even play the double.
Well, one or two of Lin's shot choices in this match have bordered on the bizarre. Recall the previous frame when he had a straight blue off its spot to win the frame and elected to go for the green instead, a much more difficult pot to get position on reds that he didn't require. He missed the green. It might have cost him the frame. It didn't. But there was another strange choice.
Well, he's played himself straight into trouble there. And even if he can pot this red into the middle, it's a tough pot. The cue ball's going into the black and the reds. That adds pressure to the pot, and he's left himself in this horrible position purely because he didn't play the shot. It was such an easy safety shot, that.
Well, it's very rare, Joe, isn't it, to see a player elect to put his opponent back in when the cue ball and the red are in baulk.
Well, hasn't cost him, but it could have. This time Mark Selby's turn to have a little bit of run. That red could have finished over the middle.
That was a good safety from Lin. There hasn't been a lot wrong with his tactical game today. It's been his shot selection and perhaps failing to capitalise as he might have done on the scoring opportunities that he's had. And yet, he could be about to level the match at 3-all. Good safety from Selby, though. 33 the difference, still 59 on the table.
Well, again, that's a careless shot, you've got to say. He needed to be catching that red nearly full. Half ball. It's got to go into the two reds.
There didn't seem any way,
1.
the way Lin played that red, that he could not leave a red on. Players resuming on table one after their mid-session break. Ding Junhui, courtesy of that fabulous clearance of 129, leading Dave Gilbert, a man he's never beaten in their three previous encounters by 3 frames to 1, so Ding a couple of frames away from booking his place in the round of 16.
Well, these reds have proved tough, rolling in along this cushion. Pocket seems to be a bit tight. Well, only just went in and it looked all the way to me that.
Terrific red. Big shot coming up here then. 12 points the difference now.
21. Mark Selby.
Yes, he knew what he was doing there. He went round and had a look where he wanted to be to lay that snooker. And that's big trouble for the young Chinese man. Good hit. A good hit. And he's got it safe. You always need a little bit of luck when you're escaping from snookers, but when they're that difficult, I think you deserve a little bit of luck if you hit it. Oh, he didn't play that. Raise of the hand. So 11 points behind. He's nicely on the brown to get to the yellow, but it's going to be a tough shot to get to the green from the yellow as we look at that red again.
Looking to fire it around the angles for safety, wasn't he? This frame right in the balance now then.
Yeah, he could play the pink, bring the pink off the cushion, try and leave the cue ball behind the blue and green. He's left it on the cushion again, but he's got a good cue ball. He's got the snooker. Just before the middle pocket. The big fella.
Fault and miss. Mark Selby 7. Free ball.
Free ball, not a huge amount of use to Selby there, so no surprise to see this going back. Referee Zhu Ying just consulting with Lin Shuai as to the precise position of the cue ball. Mark Selby now joining in. It's normally a very democratic procedure, this.
Yes, he had to be able to hit just before the middle pocket. Well, same shot. Didn't hit the black this time, but that does make a difference now, because Mark Selby doesn't need the difficult pink. Just needs to get a little bit closer to the middle pocket with the right hand side on the cue ball. And that's worked out nicely.
Yes, the double kiss isn't always fatal. On that occasion, it was a rather favourable one for Lin. Scores level then.
So trying to leave the cue ball where the yellow is. And he's got him again. And he's got out of it again and got a snooker.
Well played by Selby. By and large, the safety play from both players has been of the highest standard.
And again, another good shot. Not hard to hit. But every chance of leaving it on. Oh, the thinnest of hits. Now, can he be tempted at this yellow? And beyond the green. Oh, that wasn't far away. Now, was that a good kiss? Anxious looks. Another anxious look. Wasn't sure the first time, so it must be tight, this. Well, great chance now. The right side of the green to get to the brown. Doesn't need the pink.
This will be a hurtful frame for Lin to lose. He had a useful lead in what was a scrappy frame with the balls not ideally placed. But he's watched Selby
9.
whittle away at that lead and now move into the lead himself, and he only needs the blue.
Yeah, just checking.
Well, it might easily have been 3-all.
Mark Selby 14.
Lin then requires a snooker. Well, that didn't go to plan, and one good pot here from Selby will kill this sixth frame. Frustration for the young Chinese. He had chances there to level the match from 3-1 down at 3-all, but it's Mark Selby who's battled his way back in another scrappy affair to lead 4-2. He needs just one more for victory. Ding has been fluency personified in the last couple of frames, and he's threatening to achieve back-to-back century breaks here. Well, the remaining 2 reds are open, 1 good pot on the blue, and it's looking like another century break for the Chinese. Needs both reds, you would think. The position on the blue to get to that final red. And this is wonderful stuff from the 26-year-old. The only major title missing from his collection is the big one, of course, the World Championship. He's been a semi-finalist at the Crucible. Otherwise, it's been a disappointing venue for him. But he's still young enough to change that around in the years ahead. So much pressure, so much expectation on the shoulders of Ding. Expected to win every time he plays, particularly heavy pressure when he's playing at home. And up against an opponent today as he completes the century, who has had the better of him in their previous matches. That would have added to the pressure, but he's responding in style here, isn't he? 129 total clearance in the 4th frame. And a very good attempt to release the green there as he goes for another clearance. He's going to need something special to maintain the break now. The thinnest of cuts. Well, the green doesn't go, but it's a break of 106 to go with that clearance of 129. Fabulous snooker from Ding Junhui. And he leads Dave Gilbert 4-1. He needs just 1 more to go through. As we head back to proceedings in our feature match. And Mark Selby now just a frame away as well. And he's in to win at the start of frame 7.
Yes, and nudging the red away from the black spot allows the black
8.
to be respotted. He was snookered twice in this frame by Lin Shuai.
9.
And what a big frame, Joe, that previous one was. It could so easily have gone the way of Lin.
Yep, could easily have been 3 each.
And one thing this match has been lacking is a big break. We've had a couple of 50s. Not much else to write home about.
15.
Is Selby going to save the best till last?
Well, he's just having a look at these 2 reds to the left of the black. If one of them goes to the right corner, he'll probably play for one of them. If not, then maybe going to the pack of reds at pace.
Rob Milkins or Mark Joyce await the winner of this battle, and at the moment it looks likely to be Joyce who leads Rob Milkins by 4 frames to 2 and is 25 points to the good in frame 7, the one he needs to clinch victory.
And that could very well have been the frame a match-winning shot, opening the reds.
22.
Mark Allen is in deep trouble against Ryan Day. The Welshman leads the Northern Irishman 4-1. Barry Hawkins will play whoever comes through that one.
27. 28.
And again, he's a little straight on the blue. Oh no, he's got another red to the right corner. Would help if the black goes to the left corner. We'll soon find out.
33.
Well, Selby knows this is a chance to close out frame a match. He's going to put all of his mental resources into trying to make that happen at this opportunity.
34.
And once again, he's straight on the blue. And this time it looks like he may have to take the green or the brown. Needs to run on a bit. And that will do nicely. Perfectly on this red to the left corner to stay on the black. That's the chalk that they leave on the nap of the bed when they hit the ball, cue ball so low.
Selby's face etched in concentration, as it always seems to be. It is a somewhat unorthodox action he has, isn't it, Joe? Because there is some movement on the shot.
Yeah, there appears to be.
46.
But it hasn't hindered him in any way, has it?
It certainly hasn't, no. He's the reigning UKM Masters champion. 3 times he's won the Blue Ribbon Invitational event in this game at the Alexandra Palace.
53.
He's won 3 ranking titles in total, which is probably a modest return for a man of his considerable ability. And of course, like Ding before him, he would love to get his name on the World Championship trophy. Many felt he had a chance, a very good chance this year, and he would have been going for the full sweep of the UK Masters and World titles, but rather ran out of emotional gas, I think, and came up short in the second round, and said afterwards that he felt he was physically drained after what had been an arduous season.
Yeah, it's just a little short of pace to come onto this red. Although it's easier to get to the black from where he is if the red drops in. Had a look at the 2 reds just above the black to see if they're a plant to the right corner. That's a good pot. Now he's got the choice whether to play the cannon to the red above the black and to the left, the one just to the left of the pink, or play the cannon to the other red to the right side. Choice is his. He's played it perfectly. That's the winning shot. Just needs the red.
Well, this has been the best break of the match so far from either player, and not just numerically either. For the first time, really, Selby has looked fully in stroke. This is a clinical way to finish the job. It's not been an easy match for him. A lot of the frames have been difficult. Spasmodic sort of affair, this one. But a win's a win, and if Selby gets the job done here, as he looks set to do, he'll be in the next round, and that's all that matters. He can get better as the rounds progress.
This looks good. Appreciated by the crowd. Great shot. Perfectly on the red. Yes, he was made to fight in this match, no doubt about that.
Lovely shot there as well to cannon the red and open it up from the pink. This is looking like a century. We've seen Ding crack in back-to-back centuries on the neighbouring table after a troublesome start against Dave Gilbert, and Mark Selby has certainly found a new gear in the frame he needed to close out the win.
99.
Just the black then for the 297th century break of his career. And there it goes, and the crowd very appreciative
106.
of what has been a magnificent way to close out victory for the world number 2, Mark Selby. Century break.
108.
All part of the learning process for Lin Shuai. He can reflect on that excellent win over Andrew Higginson in the wildcard round to set up this match. He'll also reflect, I'm sure, on that 6th frame when he might have levelled the match from 3-1 down. But Selby managed to pinch it, and that proved to be pivotal.
115.
So Selby looking for the clearance now. In and out of baulk for the pink. And this is set to be the highest break of the tournament to date. Ding Junhui's 129 did hold that spot. Pink and black would put Selby in pole position. Oh, the pink stays out. No high break then for Mark Selby, but victory nonetheless, and he did indeed save the best till last. A big smile from Lin, who I'm sure enjoyed the occasion of playing a top professional in front of his home crowd, and he gave a good account of himself as well. He pushed Selby hard in those difficult early stages when things were a bit scrappy, but Selby has shown his class in the end, rounding it off with a century to complete a 5-frames-to-2 victory. Selby through then to the round of 16, where he will face either Robert Milkins or Mark Joyce. We'll take a short break then, and when we return, we'll pick up the climax of the match between Ding Junhui and Dave Gilbert. That's coming next.